Nah, 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 nah. Brahim Habayim, welcome. Did you miss me? Because I certainly missed you. Today on the agenda, we're going to be talking about steps that I did to improve my mental health. And seriously, these are things that I did that improved my mental health. So for your convenience, I've broken this topic down into a few sections that are also available for you guys to just click directly in the description below. Feel free to skip to any point of this video and let's get started. The first thing that I did that helped me really improve my health is I had to be honest with myself, and that was honesty with everything. Now, thankfully for me, I'm a pretty honest person, and I'm saying pretty because sometimes we do catch ourselves thinking of a lie or dwelling on a lie, something that's really not 100% the truth. That's a lie. So if you recognize that you have a habit of doing this, then I would seriously suggest dwelling and acknowledging on what is it that is happening, what is it that I have control of, and what is it that I need to do. And those three things, those three questions really helped me with whether I was dealing with my anxiety or whether I was just overwhelmed, whether I was just going through a hard time and I was feeling very low, or I could be feeling very high, but at the same time I'm just feeling very overstimulated. These things really help me be consistent and help me to stay stable, because there's no sense in saying that you're improving your mental health and then it only lasts for like a week or 2 weeks or a month, if that. You want to make sure that if you're improving in anything, that it stays consistent, and that takes a lot of work. Honesty is a huge factor. Be honest in your relationships, be honest in your jobs and the things that you do in your work. Be honest in every single thing that you do, and trust me, it will definitely pay off. And it's also just a weight off of your shoulders. Like, if you're dwelling on a lie, that is just so much burden, just so much negative energy pushing down on you, pushing down on your heart and your mind and your soul. So be honest with every single thing that comes your way, that is happening in your life. Acknowledge it. Use those three questions that I mentioned 2 seconds ago, and trust me, you will have already started making those positive steps forward to improving your health. The next step that I did to improve my mental health was to remove labels that did not define me. If I'm in a friendship, or let me correct that. If I say that I'm in a friendship and I say, oh, they're my friend or I'm their friend, am I really? And you're not being mean when you say these things. You're not being mean when you have to question yourself. It's like, it's legit. Am I really someone's friend? Or am I really their acquaintance? You know, there are so many labels that we put onto people, and then there are labels that we put onto ourselves. Am I this for that person? Am I that? And it doesn't even have to apply to relationships. It also just applies to yourself. Am I smart? Am I determined? Am I lazy? You know, am I a procrastinator? Don't let certain labels define you. If they're not the right labels, if they're not the right names and titles that you want to go by or that you want other people to go by when it comes to a relationship with you, make sure you redefine those things, get them under wraps, because I'm telling you, the minute you do that, weight lifted off your chest. I can't count how many times, me specifically, I'm like, oh, well, they're supposed to be my friend. Not everybody that you talk to is defined as a friend. Let that sink in. Just because you talk to them, just because you had a heart-to-heart conversation does not mean right then and there that you guys have now officially became friends. You have to decide, and I feel like it has to be mutual. Like, you can't just be like, oh, that's my friend, and then they're like, what, we're friends? So make sure it is defined within both sides, because if, for instance, if you're like, well, you're supposed to be my friend, and they're not texting you or calling you or checking up on you, you gotta check your labels. Maybe they're really not your friend. Maybe they're just more of an acquaintance, or maybe they're just people that you know, and when you do see them, then you say, hi, how are you doing, and you just keep it moving. That I would not be defined as a friend. A friend carries a lot more weight. The minute you redefine your labels, the minute you don't let labels define you, the better off you will be. If you know you're not somebody's friend, do not even, and I know it might sound mean, but if you know for a fact you're not somebody's friend, don't let that burden, don't let that weight get the best of you, because a friend is a whole other responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And I'm using friend as a basic label term, but it could be like, you know, your boy's significant other or your girl's significant other or what other labels you might be thinking of for your life and how your day normally goes. But a friend is a pretty basic example, but do not let them define you, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to cause you a whole lot of trouble, a whole lot of stress for no reason. If someone's your acquaintance or they're your coworkers and you only talk to them at work, you're not going to be looking for a text from them every day, every other day, or at least once a week. Like, that's more on a friend, BFF, significant other level. Another thing that I did to really help me improve my mental health was not accepting anybody's inconsistencies. And I think that this is a perfect example, and this goes straight from the last pointer in labels, because now that you've redefined your labels and you're not letting them define you as a person, you as an individual, now you should at least have a clearer understanding of who your friends actually are. Now, within this stage, hopefully you have good friends. I pray to God that you have good friends. However, there are many of us who go through life and they're just people who are meant to come and then go. Not everyone stays forever, and that's perfectly fine. It's probably just a learning experience. They were there for a season, and that's that. The friends that you have, that you are allowing to take up your time and your space and your energy, make sure that they are consistent friends. Me, for example, I have a lot of low maintenance friends, and I think that's good, because if I had a friend who needed me to text her or him every single day, it'd probably stress me out and also get me irritated, because I love my solidarity, I love my alone time, but I also hate constantly being on my phone. Someone, especially texting, oh my gosh, I despise texting. It's convenient when you can't talk verbally, but regardless, I would just prefer to talk to someone in person or over the phone or over FaceTime without having to text them. So if I had a friend who needed me to text them consistently and that was high maintenance, that would be toxic for them, because I'm a low maintenance friend. You can check up on me once in a while and I will not even be offended. Like, all of my friends, we do this a lot. We'll go like days and sometimes even weeks without texting each other. And I guess some people might be like, are you guys sure you're friends? Yeah, we just have lives and we have things that we need to do, that we need to work on ourselves. And if there's ever an issue, an emergency, we put it in our group chat and we are all there for each other. We always respond pretty quickly. Sometimes we might have group calls. Sometimes someone might be like, yo, we need to plan a get together, and then we'll plan like a weekend get together. So that's our healthy relationship. You have to figure out what is a healthy relationship with you. Now, inconsistency based on your standards. Like how I just mentioned, consistency for me, for my friends, would be making sure that when we do talk to each other, that everyone is responding, everyone is being present in the moment, etc., etc., etc. That is consistency for me. It's for when we make plans, we all come through. And for the most part, none of us have ever backed out of plans before. Like we need our weekend plans. So it's always like, it's very healthy when you have a relationship like that. Now, a inconsistent relationship would look like making plans and then crashing out at the last possible moment. It would be saying, oh, I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna text you, and then they don't. And then it seems like you're constantly the one who has to always check up on them, has to ask them how they're doing, has to ask them, hey, is it okay if I can call you? Like, we haven't talked in a minute. Like, is everything okay? Is everything good? Like, this is very beneficial and it's very important, especially for people who are in, you know, those other deeper, more important relationships, because if you allow people to constantly dictate your time and your energy that you're sacrificing for them and they can't even come through, there's a problem. And you gotta nip that in the butt as we become better people, and not better people, you know, just for others around us, but like for us personally. Why would you want someone to constantly waste your time? If someone was being inconsistent for me in a relationship, and I don't have that many friends as it is, like my circle is very small, so if one of my friends was being inconsistent, like I don't have time for that. I really don't. So set your standards. Like, again, like, this all has to do with standards. It all has to do with your self-worth. If you know how important you are to yourself and your self-worth, there's no way you're gonna let this stuff slide. Trust me. And then when you start doing that and being bolder for yourself and sticking up for yourself and speaking up for yourself, your health, your mental being starts becoming stronger. It starts becoming confident. You learn to have more sympathy towards other people as well. So all these tips that I'm giving, it goes hand in hand. My next one is for all my FOMO people. The fear of missing out. Why? Why do we get the feeling like, oh, people are making plans whether or not you got invited? It's like this younger generation. It's like, oh, I don't want to miss out someone to go. And I'm a very strong introvert, especially when it comes to big gatherings. And I know myself, and I used to struggle a lot with like, no, like, I want to go, but at the same time I don't want to go, but at the same time, like, I don't want, like, what if something good or crazy or amazing happens? I want to be there for that. Like, I don't want to miss it out. I don't want to miss out. And then something just clicked in me like a few years ago, and I'm just like, I really don't care. Because I really have to be honest with myself, and I already know, Naomi, when you get to a gathering, you talk to like your close people or people who you can really vibe with, but most of the time you're looking at the watch, seeing when you can go home or when you can be alone, so you can get your alone time for the rest of the day, get that dose of solidarity. So me personally, as an introvert, even though if there's an event or something that might sound fun, if I know that I'm just really not up for it, there's no way I'm forcing myself to go, because I already know myself, and it just doesn't make sense to force myself into a situation that I'm gonna want to leave 10 minutes from when I get there. That's just me personally. But if you struggle with FOMO, from the sense of just like seriously the fear of missing out, you don't want to miss out on anything, you really gotta get your priorities in order, because there's so many other things that you could be doing and being and living and achieving, rather than stressing out about who's doing what, who's saying this, and yada yada yada. Thankful for me also, just a side point, I also have friends who are like this as well. So if like we're planning something and then one of us can't make it, be like, oh, I can't make it, but you guys have fun, and that's it. There is no like, oh, take pictures for me or do this, like no. Like, we're all pretty mentally stable to be like, oh, she went there or she traveled there, like, how was it? Bring me back a souvenir, have fun, bye. And that's it. I feel like when you get to that point, again, burden lifted off, especially for a person who has had anxiety. Like, I've struggled with anxiety for a long time. So it's all about like feeling weighed down, feeling burdened, feeling like there's 101 things in my mind that I'm thinking about that's causing me to be nervous or causing me to be like shaky and just worried all the time and overwhelmed. But the more things that you learn to let go, hence these steps that I've just brought up to your guys' attention, then the easier it is to finally hopefully improve your mental health. The next thing I had to learn how to do was to have hard conversations. This goes for any relationship. This goes for whether it's with your siblings, your parents, your friends, your coworkers, your boss, your supervisor, if you go to church, people in church, your significant other. Like, it does not matter who it is or what it's about. If it's a hard conversation, it needs to be had, whether you're bringing it up or whether they're bringing it up, and you just have to prepare yourself for whatever is going to be brought up to your attention. It does not matter. Just get ready to have a hard conversation. I think that maybe years ago, maybe I would get like very, very nervous about having hard conversations, but I would definitely say now I'm more of the opposite. I'm like, we need to talk, let's talk. I've turned into that person, and it makes me very proud, because years ago I probably wouldn't do that at all. I probably wouldn't bring it up to anybody's attention. I probably wouldn't speak up about certain things or for certain things. But now I'm usually the person who's like, this and this happened. I did not like this, that, and that. We need to have a conversation. And we always talk about the conversation. Or like, and it differs from your relationships and from your life. So if it's about something that someone did, something that disrespected you, someone did something that just offended you, made you feel uncomfortable, was out of pocket, was out of hand, whatever it is, have that hard conversation. Don't keep putting it off, because I know people who put it off, and literally, like, I thank God that I'm a patient person, but like, there's no way I'm gonna keep dealing with people who's like, oh, okay, well, have that conversation soon enough. Like, no, soon as now. Get over it. soon as now. For the most part, we're all grown here, or we're getting grown, or we're learning how to be growner, grown-ish. We have to learn how to start doing these things for ourselves, because no one else is going to do it for us. And the last thing that I have to mention for this video is spiritual nourishment. And yes, I had to save the best for last, because you can do all these tips, but honestly, if you don't have the spiritual strength to get through it, then it's just not gonna work. And I get it if you're watching this video and you don't believe in God, or you don't believe in like spiritual strength, you don't believe in like, you know, all that spiritual nonsense that people call it. But for me personally, like if I was dealing with all these things mentally and I was not praying, I would have been like 10 times worse. There's just no way. Okay, like we already have trouble talking to other people as it is. There's no way I'm gonna stop talking to God. Like, you're crazy. So for me personally, just making sure that I keep my relationship with God strong, even if it seems to be dwindling at times, just making sure that I'm at least aware again, being honest with myself, and just working out the kinks, working out the struggles and things that I might be going through. Also knowing that God is with me every step of the way is definitely like, see, I don't even have a word for it. It's just, it's on a different level. Because there's no way that I can think of improving my mental health by myself. I did not get here by myself. I did not do this by myself. I believe that I was put into certain situations for a reason, and I learned how to deal with it and to improve with it, from it, for it, with God's help. So it's all up to you what you choose to believe. I am no way, shape, or form pushing my religion or my thoughts or my beliefs onto you. However, I'm just saying what worked for me. And my spiritual nourishment was like big time. Like when I'm sitting there and listening to the word of God being preached, and I'm like, ooh, this is for me. Whether it's about mental mindset, spiritual mindset, whatever it is that's being taught, and it's like perfect for me, exactly what I needed to hear. It's better than a podcast, sis. So you make sure that you are not starving yourself in all these categories, because we think of well-being, and yes, this video is about mental health. However, like everything else in the world is a cycle, everything else is connected, so is your well-being. You have to be connected, well versed, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Emotionally and mentally kind of gotta go hand in hand. They're not the same, but they kind of go hand in hand. And then you have your spirituality, and then you have physically. But a lot of people don't realize that your physical health, what you're eating, what you're drinking, if you're exercising, you're being active, taking care of your body, that has effect on your mental health. And these are things that I definitely want to be able to talk more about, hopefully this summer, because I'm really trying to dish out videos back to back to back to back. We'll see how that goes. I know I've been gone for a while. I have not done a sit down video in God knows how long. If I did post a video over this past month alone, it was probably just videos that I had stacked up that I've been edited and I've been posted a long time ago. I just didn't make it public, so I just made it switch it from private to public. There's my video for today, and I called it a day. I've been so busy, but hopefully now I have topics that I want to talk about, people that I want to bring onto my YouTube channel. So we're gonna see how that works out, hopefully this summer, for these next 8 weeks before I have to go back to work at school. And that brings us to the end of this video. Subscribe and become a part of the love fam, and please don't forget to self-care, and we are out.